do it my way. Mom, quit telling me how to do it. You're always telling me what to do. You're always telling me how to do it. How am I supposed to learn if you're always telling me what to do and the only way that's right is your way? Isn't there another way? Isn't there another way out besides your way? Maybe Dad's way is the right way. Fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, and parents, and children, I have reached a focal point in my life. I'm ready to file for divorce. Not from my wife, but from my father. You ever heard about children filing divorce? There's been a few rare cases, people gone to court to divorce their parents.
That's right.
Now, we constantly hear about parents that divorce their children. They throw them out of the house. They say, you do whatever you are, please, and don't bother me, and don't come back to me, and when you screw up, it's your problem. So let's take this systematically. What things do children actually owe to their parents? Number one, children owe their parents respect. Why do they owe their parents respect? Well, okay, let's take a couple things. Number one, they're older, and you should respect anybody that's older. Number two, this man and woman, assuming that we don't have adoptions, but let's just talk about a standard family, that this man and woman took care of you when you were a baby and couldn't do anything, and they fed you, and they took you out to the store, and they took you around, and they paid attention to you, and they devoted hours and hours and hours to you, trying to make you, in what in their mind was a good human being. For that, we owe them respect, and we owe them a lot more than that, which there's no way we can ever repay as children. There's just no way to repay your children, your parents, for what they've done for you as parents. Even if they're lousy parents, it's better than no parent. Number two, you owe your parents help. They fall down, they break a hip, they have to go to the doctor, they have nobody to take them. You owe them the responsibility to come to their aid and help them in an emergency. We're not talking about in normal situations, but in an emergency, it's your job. This is when you get to return a little bit of exchange with your parents. As they get older and older, you owe them your time. Not a lot, but you owe them some time. You got to go visit them. My grandmother lived alone for the last, since my mother moved out of the house, and I was born, my mother moved out probably 15 years when I was able to drive and go visit my grandmother by myself driving without a family outing. My grandmother lived alone. She didn't have a lot of friends. She didn't go to the community center. She didn't play cards with anybody. She was alone. So I would go visit my grandmother. I owed it to her. Look what she did. She created my mother, who created me, who drove my life crazy. So, got to exchange. Now, let's take the reverse. What do your parents owe you? Well, number one, which is really forgotten, is the parents owe the children respect. Why do they owe you respect? You're only a stupid, dumb kid? Because, number one, you're not a stupid, dumb kid. You're just a kid. And just because you're little doesn't mean that they can bounce you around, hit you around, slap you around, drag you around, yell at you, and do everything that they do. Because if you look at the way the parents treat their 5 and 4 and 6-year-olds, if they did that to a slave, he would revolt and stab his master in the back. And by the way, many did. So the parents owe the child respect. Number one, the child is brilliant. All small children are brilliant. Just imagine. They learn how to walk, they learn how to crawl, they learn how to talk, and they all do this in the first 2 or 3 years of life. There's an incredible learning curve that they have to learn. And the interesting thing is the curve slows down as you get older. When you're young, you really got to learn a lot. Okay, so they owe the child respect. The child didn't pick the parents. The parents picked the children, at least by biological means. So you can't say, you owe me, children. It's like, I didn't ask to be born to you. You decided to have me as a child, and because you brought me into this world and you're taking care of me, you have a responsibility, just like to your dog. When you buy a dog, adopt a dog, you have a responsibility to a dog. The other thing is that when I was younger, my mother told me that all children were loved equally. And that we would never know if there was any favoritism, we would never be aware of it. And by the way, when I was growing up, I was not aware of any favoritism. I only became aware of favoritism when I was about 50 years old. Up till that time, I didn't know. But do parents owe a responsibility to the children to treat them equally? Yes. Now, why do I say that? Because the emotional damage to the children by not treating them equally is so horrendous that no child should be exposed to that. And the rule of the golden rule is basically, different religions, it's treat others the way you want to be treated yourself. And no parent wants to be treated like he's second citizen. So that's my story. So my father, I found out, wrote his will 10 years ago. And basically, I've got 1/16 of everything that he dies with, where every one of my siblings has double, triple, quadruple that amount of money. And guess what? I'm not the favorite child. I was the needle in his butt. But I still owe him respect, but he still owes me a life, Mr. Toastmaster.
All right. Boy, that brought up a lot of stuff for me. I'm going to speak on that one coming up pretty darn soon.
That'll teach you to become Jewish.